I'm at a sheep stud in the Waimai Valley near Raglan, helping third-generation farmer Alastair Reeves shift a mob of hoggets.
I'm Alastair Reeves from the Waimai Valley. We're in the Tiako district, just north of the Raglan Harbour. I'm born here. My grandfather came from Tolaga with my grandmother in 1933, and this country is pretty much still bush country. It's just recently been burnt, and so it's still pretty young country even today. Yeah, so my kids are the fourth generation here. What we found, we've got a sheep and beef operation here. It's roughly over 800 hectares, of which about 680 is effective. And we run a sheep genetics business here and finish bull beef. They're probably our main two business products.
Alastair and his wife Anne breed two types of sheep at the farm, including a breed they've spent the past 10 years developing themselves.
So we've got two main sheep breeds here. We've got the Romney breed, which my father started in 1953.
Hearty classic New Zealand sheep.
Yeah, I mean, they're still around today probably because they are fit for purpose. You know, they suit our environment, they're hardy, they produce meat, they produce wool, and that's essentially what's paid the bills over the last sort of 6 years. So it's a really testament to the breeders that have sort of gone before us. So Dad had a huge focus on eczema tolerance. He was one of the first breeders to start doing that. And that was just an issue within the Waikato and the upper North Island, and that's just spreading down the country now. But what it really taught me was as a breeder, you can actually use genetics to help solve problems, and it's pretty cool that today, you know, we don't see a lot of eczema in our sheep industry anymore, and it's really cool that farmers have the opportunity to buy those genetics. The other breed we have it's a terminal breed. It's called a Shara Black. It's a cross between a Charolais and a Hampshire. We've sort of started this breed because we love the growth first and foremost that these animals have, but we're also trying to produce the wagyu of lamb. We're trying to produce a marbled lamb product here, and so we've done a lot of work in progeny trials, identifying sires that have marbled meat, and that's really exciting. I think going forward, you know, if we can get more value for the same kilograms of lamb because it's got wonderful marbling attributes and eating quality, and we can get a premium for that in the marketplace, I think that's pretty exciting.
You mentioned, genetics, it takes time. How long have you been developing those kind of traits for?
The terminal traits with the Shara Black, we've probably been over the last 10 years. Yeah, so with the Hampshire is an old traditional breed. It came in the country with the Dorset Down and the South Down. And I think the fact that it's probably been not selected for lean meat yield, which a lot of other terminal breeds have been, I think we've kept the eating qualities of those breeds. And then the Charolais is from France, and that's just inherently got some lovely meat-eating qualities and has very good marbling as well, so yeah.
In addition to focusing on meat qualities and facial eczema tolerance, Alastair's also been breeding sheep which emit lower amounts of methane, the greenhouse gas accounting for over 70% of agriculture emissions and 43% of New Zealand's total greenhouse gas emissions.
The whole methane situation in our industry is, you know, it's very complex. All I know as a geneticist, I'm here to produce the best genetics for my clients, you know, and I want those genetics to make them as most profitable genetics as they can receive. But also, there's other things we can actually do in breeding because genetics takes time. And what we've learnt with the whole eczema trait was genetics can actually solve problems. So probably when we look at methane, we all know that methane is produced by animals, and what I've probably learned is that it's actually a wasted gas. There's nothing actually good about methane. So if we can reduce that methane and at the same time improve the productivity of our livestock, I think that would be a really positive thing. And so that's essentially what we're trying to do. So we've actually reduced our methane by 3.2% in 4 years of breeding for it, but at the same time our productivity's gone up. So to me this is really positive. You know, genetics takes time. I feel that if I did nothing around this space, would that be good for my clients? because at the moment they're just getting methane genetics for free. They're not paying for it, and they're just getting it by default, and they will all be reducing the methane without even realising it. So as long as we can make sure we have efficient animals, and I do believe the most efficient animal will also be the lowest methane producing animal, I think that's just a positive thing. And it's also, genetics is actually a green way of mitigating methane. I appreciate there's people run around trying to develop boluses and vaccines and all that, but it takes work, it's going to cost money, it's going to have to be done every year, whereas genetics is cumulative. It just keeps improving over time. It's not going to require any work or energy by farmers, so I just think it's a positive thing to be doing for my clients.
Alastair began testing his ram's methane output in 2020 using the Ag Research Portable Accumulation Chamber to identify low methane producing sheep to carry on their genetics.
So we're just moving our ewe hoggets. They've just actually had the first grazing of some annual grass that went in after the brassica, after the summer crop. And they're looking really good. We weighed them up the other day, and they were 46 kilograms coming out from the ram. So that's pretty heartening. They've weathered the drought really well. I mean, having the crop helped. But the main lot of ewes, they scanned 170%, not including triplets, I was just really thrilled with that. Yeah, they came out of the drought really well. We're just up on top of the farm here. It's about 142 metres above sea level, but we are, if I'm looking sort of southwest, we look at Karioi, just on the south side of Raglan, and then flip around to Mount Pirongia, which is south of us, and then we can flip around here. We can actually see right through to Table Mountain is on the Coromandel, so it's pretty cool elevation up here.
Last year, the farm was named Waikato's Regional Supreme Winner at the Balance Farm Environment Awards.
Yeah, we've probably, over the last 20 years, we've probably planted 1,000 natives every year, probably over the last 15 to 20 years. So it was something my children got involved with. We'd buy a root trainer for $1. I'd pay my kids $1 to plant them, and that was it actually. So the kids have planted a lot of the natives on the farm, which is pretty cool. We'll continue to do that, and we've also probably planted up probably about 10% of the farm, the gullies and the steeper areas, into pines, a mix of pines and redwoods. Yeah, we've fenced off our major streams and riparian planted them. So yeah, I mean, it's just, there's no better time than starting doing these things than today. But it's really neat to actually see it's all coming to fruition now. It's just really neat. Lovely seeing all the putukawas and that every Christmas. We put putukawas on the Christmas table because they're flowering. We didn't have a putukawa here as a kid, not one. So it's just really neat to see those trees and puriri trees, and just definitely got a lot more biodiversity, a lot more kiraru and especially tuis, which we're just seeing, which is just really cool.
Just makes for nicer farming for you too, I suppose, when you're out at work and moving stock and things as well, looking around that scenery and seeing all the birds, hearing them.
Yeah, it definitely makes, I love my farm, and I think it's a really enjoyable place for myself to work on, but also the other people I've involved in my business, Tom Morgan, and we've got a young GFF here, Italiana. So, I love working it. We've got trees around the cattle yards, which is really neat. Actually, and fencing off all your dirty gullies and all that with trees and that, suddenly you actually farm a better farm too. So that just makes you feel better on a given day. You're not fencing in those gnarly gullies or getting stock out of there. So that's actually definitely made probably the farm more easier to farm. Yeah, definitely.
And I suppose all those trees reduce any slip risks and things like that, hold the ground a bit tighter together too.
Yeah, there's method in the madness. All the trees are up in headwaters of all the streams. We've got 3 major streams that come out or start on this property. So we've planted all those headwaters up in trees to just sort of mitigate any sediment runoff, and put in sediment traps. And so all those things definitely add up to better waterways. And we've got heaps of eels, and we've got heaps of watercress and all those sorts of things, which, they're all signs of a healthy environment.
There have been many changes since Alastair's family first started farming, including challenges around low prices for wool, and at times even lamb, and more farms being sold into forestry.
I think our farming systems We trade a lot more stock than probably my father did and his peers. There was a lot more breeding, and they sold a lot more probably store stock because there was areas that they finished lambs, they finished cattle. But with the advent of this, probably the success of dairy and that, we've lost a lot of those areas which used to traditionally finish beef and lamb, and so now hill country farmers are having to be both breeders and finishers. So it's really important that our genetics have evolved to enable farmers to do this, to finish prime animals off hill country. Probably it's been a tough couple of years as sheep and beef farmers. I mean, we've had the whole forestry influx into our rural communities is not at all positive. It's really put a lot of pressure on our rural communities. Rural people still understand what a community is. It's about people being together and looking after each other. And I think the whole forestry thing has been propagated by probably some skewed legislation which has allowed bad behaviour to happen around probably carbon. And I really think we just need a reset on all that. We need sheep and beef farming to be profitable. I think it's a really positive thing, not just for our communities, but New Zealand Inc. Last time I checked, when a tourist comes to New Zealand, they want to see green rolling hills and sheep on the hills and clean streams, and they don't want to see forestry. They don't want to see dairy farms. So we've got to make sure that New Zealand Inc., we all talk to each other, we get out of our silos, and we do what's best for New Zealand.
In terms of, sheep in particular, with wool prices having gone down in recent years, and last year lamb prices took a bit of a dive, although the markets, bounced back and things. Has that ever been challenging for you, being a sheep breeder in particular and running the stud?
Yeah, there's no doubt that the last few years have been really challenging for hill country farmers, especially sheep farmers. The wool prices have, been really disappointing. It's just really nice to see them actually picking up. I mean, we all know it's a wonderful product. We just need to get the demand for that product growing. We've just shorn and we received $2.97 a kilogram greasy for our wool, so that's really important. We've paid for costs there. But we've got to get this wool up around $6-8 really quickly, or we won't have a wool industry. And the lamb one, look, it's interesting because over the last 6 months, we've seen this huge increase in protein prices across the board: dairy, beef, lamb, they're all the same. And it just really shows that, one, that if a product's we can improve the demand of that product, we will improve the price. And that's pretty much what's happened the last 6-8 months. There's a huge demand for New Zealand protein. It's a phenomenal product. It's grass-fed, and the world wants it. So we've just got to be really positive about this, and hopefully it continues.
Is that what's kept you going, is knowing that if you can help people understand the benefits of your product and you can help grow that demand for them, that's what's kept you going through some of those harder times? Or was it a love for what you do? What is it that keeps you going during those difficult times?
I definitely love what I do. I'm really passionate about our industry. It's a wonderful industry to be in. It's been a great place for my wife Anne and myself to grow up our families here, and we want that to continue for whoever comes after us. We have a little sort of value statement here. We're only borrowing the land of our children, but we've got to make sure that our children have an industry that, one, they're proud of, and two, provides them opportunities and profitable businesses that they can come into.
Despite the challenges, Alastair's hopeful about the future of farming and the next generation on the land.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what my 3 children will do. They've all gone to Lincoln University, so that's a good start. And, they're all really proud to have been brought up in the Tiako community, and I hope they're really proud of what Anne and myself have done on farm. But you have to be passionate about being a farmer, and I don't have any expectations on what they want to do as they go forward. I think the thing I'm probably really sort of focus about is that we're all just passing through, and it's just important that all of us just leave our little stamp on our environment and make it fit for purpose for the next generation coming in, whether that's my children or someone else's children. Well, that's time will tell.
That was Alastair Reeves of Waimai Romney near Raglan. And you can check out their rams for yourself at their upcoming sale next week on November 6th.